Happy National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Woo, woo, woo. I'm excited that we're going to have a great female guest on with us today, who just does a tremendous job covering the Cleveland Guardians and Major League Baseball, and Mandy Bell. We've got Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington. Welcome to PHLY Phillies podcast. It's a Wednesday.
If you know women in sports so well, name one.
Me.
Oh, okay. Good job.
Matt Deckard, you are first in the chat. Congratulations. As you see from our thumbnail, yes, today's discussion, we're going to be getting into how many wins the Phillies should have in 2024. Mickey, what's up? I see you're in the chat, jumping in with a lot to share already. Chris, Kim, good morning. Randy, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. We've got just 1 week, technically less than 1 week for those of us counting the travel date. Me.
Which I think you're alone in that.
You know, if you guys are like me, I believe the trip starts when you get to the airport. When you're traveling.
Yes, but for us.
but like, I'm excited because it means the trip starts for them, which means the trip starts for us.
So like Brandon Marsh getting on a flight from Phoenix to Tampa. Mm-hmm. That gives you a little shot of adrenaline.
It does, because it's happening. It means it's officially happening. Mm-hmm. 7 days until pitchers and catchers start training, but they actually have to report in 6 days on February 13th. So 6 days, guys. Woo!
And the truck leaves tomorrow.
Yeah, which is 1 day.
That excites me more than players being in the air on their way to Tampa International Airport.
I don't know about you guys, but I count the fact if guys are already there, then yes, it actually did start already. 7 days until pitchers and catchers start training. But guess what? We're already down in Clearwater. 50 days until opening day. You guys are just like shaking your head. 50 days until opening day, the game versus the Braves.
I've tried telling everybody in the chat, I tried explaining that it's 7 days, but she's really hung up on the 6 day thing.
I even tweeted it out. I even tweeted it out from our page because, yes.
I saw Ryan Howard today, and I was like, oh, it's only 6 days. And then I was like, oh,
and then you had to read.
Renee.
Gotcha. Pew, pew. Yo, darling, welcome. Hopefully in the 90s. Hopefully more than the 90s for the wins that the Phillies get. But I see we've got a lot going on in the chat. I can't even read all of it. We're talking about National Fettuccine Day.
Is it?
Oh, that's what Mickey's claiming. It's also National Fettuccine Day, Ballet Day, School Play Day, Periodic Table Day. I thought that was... I knew that was a thing.
So I have the National Day calendar here in front of me.
And send a card to a friend day. Why would it be national? First of all, the periodic table, low key, I used to geek out over the periodic table.
All of these people are correct.
And the noble gases.
What's your favorite element?
I don't have one, but I guess
it is National Girls and Women's.
Do you have one? Do you have a favorite element?
I mean, oxygen's pretty good. I'm gonna go with that.
I mean, he ain't wrong.
I like the noble gases. Do you remember those?
The which one?
Noble gases.
Yeah. Were they the ones that are like the top right?
Like they were like the right column. Like they were super cool.
So everybody's right. Today is National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. It's National Periodic Table Day. And it's National Fettuccine Alfredo Day.
Let's just talk about the periodic table for an hour.
And National Send a Card to a Friend Day.
Wow. Did you send me a card?
I did not. But the day's not over.
Oh, yes.
Sending cards is my absolute most millennial take ever. It is the stupidest thing in the world.
Really
no, it's actually great.
I only like cards.
Dude, my Aunt Weezy and Uncle Dick still send me a birthday card in the mail every year, and it's great.
That.
It's great.
I do still get
We can't
cards.
go that far into the future, Tyler. We still have to hold on to the past.
Here's my rule of thumb for cards, because I do still get cards from relatives, my older relatives specifically, and now I write cards.
Skylar has a pen pal buddy.
I only feel like, that's cute. I only feel like cards are meaningful if you write a note. Don't just sign your name.
Yeah.
Because
you gotta
then
write
it's like, it's not personal. You have to write a note. You have to date it. So that now when I look back on it years and I'm like, oh, wow, Jamie wrote me this card on February 6th.
I'm a
this is what he
big
said.
proponent
Is
of
today the
dating
6th?
pictures
It's the 7th, darn it.
and books. Like, because now that like we
Yeah,
handed
books are a
down
good
some
one.
of my books and my wife's books to the girls, when I read it up at night to read it, it'll be like, to Addie, October 1992. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So like date a bunch of stuff. It's
Okay,
good.
I have a joke for you. For
Uh-oh.
whatever reason.
Oh boy. She's already giggling at her own joke. Here we go. Tyler, she's going to need probably 90 seconds to recoup because she's already laughing, thinking about the joke. All right, so just give her some time. We'll
So Jamie, how was your night?
It was good. It was good, yeah.
All
I
right.
watched True Detective episode 2.
Okay, this is not. I literally just started this joke on the fly because.
Oh, this is an original. Oh boy.
I am not a comedian.
Are
It might
you
not be funny.
debuting this joke?
I don't know if it's gonna be good because I'm just saying it in my
Well, you're
head.
already laughing. So it's good to you.
All right, Jamie. What did the noble gas say?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay, wait. Let me backtrack.
Yeah. Do you have it?
Sure.
Do you have the joke?
So.
Oh my god.
All right, I think we got to move on.
Renee's on edibles on this show. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies podcast where Renee just took 25 milligrams.
Okay, wait. I got this.
All
I
right.
got this.
All right, here we go.
Okay. Joe walked in and said,
This is insanity.
how many wins are the Phillies going to get this year? And what did the noble gas say back to Joe? They are going to win over 95. Arg the noble gas? Did you get it?
ARG.
Woo! Oh my God, that was so good.
Wow, that is an honor roll joke if I've ever
That
heard
was
one.
so good, right? They are going to win over 95.
TMC says, chemistry jokes and guess that stance. Welcome in.
All right, guys, we actually have real things to talk about today besides my attempt at a joke. I am literally crying.
Yeah, you're a
In
big
my
fan
head,
of that.
I was like picturing it. That's why I was crying too. I just pictured like a noble gas. I don't know what that would be, making a joke to some Joe Schmo.
It's like, what's the pirate's favorite letter?
yeah, that's kind of where I got it from, actually. The
Yeah.
whole R, you're gonna,
Yeah.
You got
Argon.
it, Chris. You got it. Good job, guys. All right. Well, there's a lot of breaking news that we've seen the last couple of days with the Phillies. We almost had to do an emergency pod because the Phillies are making
huge
some
news.
major roster moves. I hope if you're listening on our podcast platforms, you're picking up on my huge sarcasm there. But after our show yesterday, later on in the day, we got the news that the Phillies had made a trade, guys. Like I said yesterday, and like I'm going to continue to reiterate, we just got to be a little bit more specific with these manifestations because we've been asking the Phillies to do more, and here they are doing more. But let's be more specific. We'd like you to do more exciting things that make sense for a piece that can help immediately. And we know who they are, and we know they can come right in, take a roster spot, and help the Phillies win more games. But we did get a name. So the Phillies picked up Michael Rucker from the Chicago Cubs. The right-handed pitcher was involved in a trade for cash considerations. And with that, 29-year-old
That's
Michael.
always got to hurt a little bit, right?
You just get
When you're traded just for
literally
cash.
traded for money, not even a person.
In like
for
such
money.
a prospect trade
It's
heavy
such a
league
salesy
to just
thing.
be like unloaded for cash.
And
like,
then
that's gotta
also
hurt a little bit.
you know directly how much you're worth, whatever that
Yeah.
cash is. So 29-year-old Rucker appeared in 35 games with the Cubs last season, posted a 4.91 ERA. And then also had 40
if you
strikeouts,
remove, like,
19 walks.
A very specific 2 starts from it. His ERA drops, or 2
It does, it
appearances.
does.
It drops to like 3.6. So
Yeah, he
if you just
posted a-
remove some of the bad, and then he's actually good.
So to your
So,
point,
you
he
know.
posted a 3.44 ERA in 32 of his 35 appearances in 2023. So there were those 3 games, as you
so
mentioned,
just remove
that
those 3
increased
games,
it.
which you can't do.
He did
but
have
we'll
a
do.
stretch of 3 consecutive appearances in May where he allowed 9 earned runs in 6 1/3 innings pitched. And with that, to make room for Rucker on the 40-man roster, because yes, he's been named to a roster spot, Andrew Bellotti was designated for assignment. So we were talking about yesterday, who would the Phillies move? Who do you think should be moved if another player is brought in? Well, with Michael Rucker traded in for cash money, Andrew Bellotti is out the door off of the 40-man roster. So now with that, we've got a number of moves the Phillies have made, 2 in 2 days, but Michael Mercado, Colby Allard, Diego Castillo,
James.
Michael Rucker, they're going all the way.
Yeah.
And some people were tweeting, like, the Phillies are now going to win the World Series. So, yeah, guys, we got news.
Yeah, Andrew Bellotti was kind of a big part of last year's bullpen. Kind of somewhat surprised he was the one to go. I mean, I guess if you're Connor Brogdon or Dylan Covey or one of these other guys, Nick Nelson that potentially could have been on the block without a good spring training.
Yeah.
I guess you just got a little bit of a tension taken off of your shoulders yesterday. Connor Brogdon specifically, I guess they're counting on him because he doesn't have any options left. I know we'll get into the guys with options remaining in a second, but yeah, kind of surprising Bellotti was just tossed aside like that. But there's probably 100 Andrew Bellottis around baseball, so
literally,
nothing shocking, pretty boring. But that's it. It looks like the roster is pretty much locked here, so get excited.
Yay. We're excited.
It's tough because I am excited for the season and this roster is really good. But man, we were having the chat in Discord yesterday for you diehards, and it was like, well, I know what, one guy, I'll have to pull up his exact wording. I mean, and he makes a fair point about why they didn't make any bullpen moves or outfield moves because they're pretty much locked into their guys. Let me just pull up his statement. He says, this is Josh Katz on our Discord. He says, I totally understand why they're not adding to the pen. Nelson and Covey is the long man. And then you have 6 locks. And maybe Mick Abel, who we'll talk about today, maybe halfway through the season can become that 6th man as well.
Yeah.
He said they have 6 locks. Alvarado, Hoffman, Strahm, Kerkering, Soto, Sir Anthony, and 1 spot for Churning. Then you also have Connor Brogdon and Yunior Marte. So, you're kind of I would have liked to have seen, a Maton added or a Stevenson added, but you are kind of at that tough decision-making crossroads of roster construction. So, I get it, but it's just not what I want to hear or see. That's all.
Well, also because, like we were talking about yesterday, and I know Tyler was asking the question of, okay, with the 40-man roster, who do you think should get moved or who do you think would get moved? And as we know, and Phil's Tailgate tweeted this out, talking about the Phillies that are out of options and cannot be sent to the minors without clearing outright waivers. And the list is Edmundo Sosa, Christian Pache, Jake Cave, Ranger Suarez, Christopher Sanchez, Connor Brogdon, and Dylan Covey. As much as we all talk about make a move, realistically, now being at the 40-man roster limit and having all 40 spots taken, you got to wonder who would be next. Andrew Bellotti, DFA'd. Who
no
would
options
be next?
left.
Right.
And part of the reason why they brought not Darius Rucker, not Hootie and the Blowfish, Michael Rucker, they brought him in because he still has a year of options left. So that provides you some roster flexibility in sending him down,
Yeah.
So,
I know Mickey's saying Brogdon is done with this team too.
I don't know. I think he's got a good shot to make. He's out of options, so
Right.
he either makes the roster or he's gone.
Yep.
So we'll see, spring training for Nick Nelson, Covey, Brogdon, Marte. It's going to be interesting for them because, there's probably 3 spots of those 4 available, I would imagine. And, let the best man win.
So I know in the chat there was a question, and Tyler actually was answering it kind of would you rather for your ego? I forget who asked it, Tyler, if you could scroll up for a moment. I had the name and then I forgot it. Would you rather be traded for, Trevor Rice. What's up, Trevor? Would you rather be traded for cash considerations or a player to be named later?
Player to be named later. Cash is just just get out of my building. I want some liquid green paper in my hand.
So there's a list of the best players to be named later of all time.
Remember Trey Turner was one.
So Trey Turner is one. Here's 7 others that had varying levels of success.
There's some really good players in this.
David Ortiz.
I've heard of him.
Before he was Big Papi, of course, but was traded. Was sent from Seattle to Minnesota.
Seattle.
Wow. Gio Gonzalez.
Not bad.
Was the player to be named later in a deal with the Phillies and White Sox. Michael Brantley was a player to be named later. Had himself a decent career. Marco Scutaro was a player to be named later. Moises Alou Jason Schmidt,
who used to pee on his hands instead of wearing batting gloves.
And how about this? Back in 1910, it just says Philadelphia, so I'm thinking it might be the Athletics, but I'll double check because it was with the Athletics. Sent from the Athletics to Cleveland was Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Huh?
Shoeless Joe. Wow. I know MBDBDBS saying being traded for cash, isn't that called trafficking? Being traded for cash does feel like we just need to get rid of you here. Just take them. Whereas even player to be named later means, okay, we're ready to make the move. We don't know exactly who the other piece or pieces are going to be yet. So for now, go ahead and move the first half of the trade and we'll figure it out later. But I think I definitely would rather be traded for a player than cash money.
Trey Turner's if you remove Shoeless Joe Jackson, Trey Turner is the crown jewel there of players to be. David Ortiz, the two of them probably.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, nice to have all of you guys here. Trevor, Randy, Matt, CMC, Mickey. I had some others that I saw in the chat earlier. Welcome. Hit that thumbs up button. We've got plenty to talk about. I won't give you guys any more cheesy, awful Noble Gases jokes.
Well, if you come up with one by the end of the show, please lay it on us.
Did you like my joke?
I mean, I like the attempt at it.
You appreciate my joke.
I appreciated the attempt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like with some tweaking, it could have actually been a good joke.
And the worse they get, the better it is for me.
Okay. All right. That's the truth behind it all. Okay. All right. I'll try not. I'm really bad with jokes. I can't tell them without laughing.
Coming up with the table of elements joke on the fly, Renee, I think a lot of comedians would struggle with that. So I wasn't expecting you to bring down the house.
It could be your kryptonite.
Oh, boy. Tyler, did you give...
There's definitively a Michael Jackson joke with helium. Hee.
Yeah.
Definitively
I
somewhere.
saa a great Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Michael Jackson cross-up meme the other day.
If we're just going for any random joke... Oh, no. Not tee. If we're just doing any random jokes, that's doable. But I'm trying to make sure it's relatable to the topic.
I did bring in some Sour Patch gummies today. Are you sure you didn't grab into a
Sour Patch person?
No, you didn't have another type of gummy or anything?
No, I worked out this morning. That's where maybe I got a lot of
the natural high.
Yeah, the natural high for sure. Because I was, I was in there
working out. What's
smoking
that?
Joe. I was in there smoking Joe.
What is working out?
Yeah.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's fine.
Is golfing considered working out?
Yeah,
because I'm doing that today.
Yeah, it's definitely exercise.
Is that why you're wearing sneakers?
No, for everybody.
Yeah, Jamie's wearing sneakers today, and I'm really concerned.
Socks.
It's actually sunny and nice outside, and he's wearing sneakers. I'm really thoroughly
I don't know.
Golf is certainly an exercise until you add, the cart and the beer
to
it.
I do walk.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Then
my course, you have to pay for the cart.
CMC's got a joke in the chat. 16 sodium atoms walk into a bar, followed by Batman.
Do you get it?
No,
Sodium's Na. No. Batman.
Oh, I like it. Listen, the periodic table jokes are rolling in today.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along, I guess. So the question is, how many wins will the Phillies get this year? Baseball Prospectus. Is it PECOTA?
Baseball Prospectus PECOTA.
PECOTA. They put out a predictive model saying that the Phillies are only winning 84 games and the Braves are going to win 100. I know you guys had talked about on the show with John when I was out at the end of the 2023 year. Last year, you guys spoke about it, about how many wins you think that... Jamie didn't get that, or he's just as numb to it at this point. Last year, you guys talked about it on the show of, how many wins you think the Phillies are going to get. So now that it's a whole new year, let's bring up the topic again, because the Baseball Prospectus PECOTA model of 84 wins seems extremely low for the Phillies this year, when we have expectations of them being at least a 95 win team.
95 is probably the ceiling of what they can get to, but I do think 83, was it? 83 and a half wins was basically their line. They were simulated to 85 wins, excuse me. So 85 they better get over 85 wins.
Yeah, that would be bad if they don't.
Yeah,
okay, I guess what is the number in both of your minds that they have to win, or else it feels like a failed regular season? I'm not talking about the playoffs. like a failed. Obviously, they need to get to the playoffs, but
I mean, honestly, if this team doesn't get to 90, I think it's kind of a failure. And that might be a little high. I would say like 87, 88 is more like probably commonly accepted. But like, I think there's so much talent on this team that they should be a 90-win team. So if they don't get to 90, I'm a little
in the wild card.
I'm a little irritated.
Okay.
Because what did they end up with last year? 86?
90.
It was 90?
Yeah, they were 90 and 72 last year.
Okay, so they got 90 last year. And think about, like, you know, Trey Turner was awful. Bryce Harper wasn't there. Jeff Hoffman wasn't Jeff Hoffman. You know, a lot of variables. But we didn't know, you know, Bryson Stott was awesome. But, like, now you expect Bryson Stott to be awesome. Right. I don't know. I just feel like they should, if they don't get to 90, it's kind of a failed regular season.
Yeah, as Mickey's saying, 88 should get them. We'll get them in the wild card.
Yeah,
Chris
definitely.
and Slemmer is saying it'd probably be 85 to 89 for the wild card. CMC saying 94, assuming the big four stays healthy. Healthy Bryce, steady Trey definitely should be able to get this team at least 90. And I do feel like if they get less than 90, it's a regression, quite literally, because there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to at least get 90 again. Tyler, what's your number that you feel like the Phillies have to get?
I think in order for it to be successful, you're probably a minimum at about 88, but I can see this team being about a 90. Like John said, 100. I don't see 100 with this team.
I'm a 92 guy.
But I think 92, 90 to 92 is a fair spot to be. But I'll be honest with you guys, what kind of baffles me even more than just the Phillies number itself is that these projections have 4 teams in the entirety of baseball winning over 90 games, which just doesn't make any sense to me considering last year 3 teams won 100, the Rays won 99, and in total 8 teams won more than 90 games. Now, you may see a step back from a team or two, right? Like, does
Arizona, they have at 85 wins, and I think they improved. But, like, you know, they have to prove that they weren't a one trick, you know, a one trick pony.
Well, really, more what I'm trying to say is, like, even if the Brewers take that step back that we expect them to, and they fall out
78 wins,
they fall out of the 90 range. Like, what is to say that, like, Toronto won 89 last year? Do I expect them to win 90? It's possible. The Yankees should win close to 90.
So the Yankees are projected at 94.5 wins.
So that's what I'm saying is, like, these projections seem off when you
Minnesota only 88,
and they had 87 last year. So like the when you have 8 teams that won 90 games last year, projections telling you that only 4 are going to win 90 this year, I just don't buy it.
Yeah. So as you're talking about, Tyler, for those, just to give you some perspective on the prospectus PECOTA standings, you like that? As you mentioned, the Yankees at 94.5, Atlanta at 100. It's always funny to be like 100.3. St. Louis at 85.2 wins. The Dodgers at 101.9. And for the NL West, as you talked about, Arizona behind them at 85.3. Houston, they have projected at 94.6. And Texas at 86.7. And then, as you mentioned, Minnesota at 88.3. Those are the top teams for their respective divisions. And then, as we talked about, the Phillies sitting at 85 and Toronto for the AL East at 88.1. So some interesting numbers. You know, right now is that time for all the, you know, guessing, the numbers, the predictions, the questions of what can happen and what we think is going to happen. But you know where you don't have to ask questions and worry about what can happen or will happen? That's what Mortgage CS. And Mortgage CS does a great job of answering all the questions you may have, whether it's about the predictions for this upcoming year, or maybe you want to give a Noble Gases joke, or maybe you want to talk about buying a house. Because at Mortgage CS, which stands for Mortgage Concierge Service, they are a white glove service right here in Philadelphia that does a tremendous job of making things a lot simpler for you and just alleviating the stress of buying a house. And so at Mortgage CS, they want to make sure that you guys have as much information, that you're empowered, that you're educated, that you have 24/7 around the clock access to be able to connect with their CEO, Ben, or Alec, who works with them as well. And that Ben is even giving you his phone number so you can directly reach out and give him a nice joke, dad joke, or talk to him about, you know, your house buying questions and needs. And his phone number, 267-391-7425. You can also email ben@mortgagecs.com. And with the spring purchase market almost here and heating up quickly, many clients, especially those first-time home buyers, are going to have questions. They're already reaching out to them. And so you want to be ready when rates drop. You want to be ready so that you have insight on how to go into the spring market if you're looking to buy a house. So with every opportunity to be able to reach out at any time and get in touch with them to prepare and ensure you're doing what it takes to be able to stand out and make the strongest offers possible, you can head over to Mortgage CS. They are coast to coast licensed, working with clients all over to give them the ultra competitive rates and make sure that they're also providing that exceptional customer service. So when you hear the word mortgage, you want to think of Mortgage CS. You want to think of Ben and Alex. Again, save Ben's phone number. Ben and Alex will chat with you any time of day, about any question that you may have, email, text, call, whatever it may be. And you can also check out mortgagecs.com/PHLY to get started. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID number 1464766, and you can visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
I just saw a news story today about a one-of-one LeBron James, Bronny James, super rare card pulled in Illinois.
Wow.
And that card is probably worth a fortune. And as soon as I saw that news story, I thought, man, I got to get over to Wheelhouse Cards and pull me a one-on-one card that's probably going to be worth God knows what. A fortune, though, because the owner of it wants to remain anonymous. So that should tell you how much that card's going to be worth. But you can pull some awesome cards if you're a card head, or maybe you want to get back into it like me. You recently found all your old cards. Maybe you want to get some graded and submitted, or you just want to buy some new packs because cards are back. And Wheelhouse Cards is our go-to sports card gift and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. They have 2 great locations in Wayne and Westchester, and their motto is Cards and Community, because a love of sports unites us all. They carry all your favorite card brands like Top Crone Baseball and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirt, hats, hoodies, and more from Mitchell & Ness, 47 brand, Junk Food Starter, and one of my favorites, the Shibe Vintage Sports. And if you're looking to have some of your sports card collection graded, they offer PSA grading submissions. They also host a ton of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every single month. So stop into either of their stores in Wayne or Westchester, open 7 days a week at 11 a.m., and use code PHLY to get $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Also, be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards.
All right. Well, I know we've talked a lot about rumors and trade proposals and predictions and all types of things. And I think it's a great opportunity to bring in our special guest for today, Mandy Bell, who is the Cleveland Guardians beat writer for the Major League Baseball, does a tremendous job. Mandy, I'm happy to have you on the show for a number of reasons. Welcome to PHLY Phillies podcast. That first reason, 25-year-old Emmanuel Clase. Now, we've heard a lot of trade rumors circulating that Emmanuel Clase might be wheeled and dealed to another team, and one trade rumor was involving the Phillies, Aiden Miller, Justin Crawford, and Johan Rojas, which we call him Yoro, by the way, which if this trade happens, you want to help that nickname continue in Cleveland, for Emmanuel Clase. Mandy, how can we land Emmanuel Clase in Philly? What will it take?
A lot. It'll take a lot. The Guardians never have anybody off the table, ever. I mean, they listen to trade offers on any of their players, and it doesn't mean that they're willing to part with them right away for the easiest deal that they can find. I mean, Emmanuel Clase is someone who's going to take the farm to get rid of, and I just don't see them doing it right now unless it's literally clearing house of that any type of pipeline that they have, and they need major league ready hitters. There's a lot of things that they would need, but you would need to have a huge haul in return for Clase. So I wouldn't get my hopes up too much for him. For other teams hoping that they will be able to land him before the 2024 season, but I mean, nothing is ever off the table with Cleveland.
So, Mandy, first, before we get to the baseball stuff, we got to know our producer's a Penn State guy. We had Thesha on yesterday, who's a Penn State girl. What are your thoughts on James Franklin?
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, I wasn't expecting this. All right. Well, let's just
let's put it on the table.
Let's just say that the change wouldn't be a horrible thing. I mean, let's mix things up. I'm tired of the same expectation every year of 2 losses, so I'd be okay with a little bit of something different.
Yeah, the man can certainly recruit. But before we had you on, we were talking about baseball prospectuses, PECOTA, predictions for this year. It has Cleveland at 83.6 wins. So what is, we've talked about him during the offseason here. What is the general direction of this team? Because Shane Bieber's been mentioned in trade rumors. Emmanuel Clase, dating back to last year, has been rumored. I know you said they listened to everything, but is there an expectation of actually winning out there? I mean, you have some really nice pieces on that team, but like you said, it seems like they're in on a lot of rumors and listening to everything.
They're in a weird stage right now where, I mean, every single year they try to compete without having to reach the ever dreaded rebuild. And they've been able to toe that line for a couple of years now. I mean, they've been the youngest team in baseball for the last 2 years. And in 2022, it worked. They had a lot of fun. The youth played in their favor and they were able to make it into the postseason, and not just the first round, but they made it to the second round. So it worked for them then, but only so long can you run on that type of luck. And I think a lot of luck fell in their favor. And last year they realized what it was whenever luck went against them. And so when the ball wasn't falling in their way, it was definitely a clunkier year. And so they're sort of stuck in that limbo territory of they're listening on offers and they could get rid of someone like Shane Bieber, but they're not sure if he has the same trade value that he's had in the past. He had that injury in the second half of last season. And then obviously his numbers aren't quite the same. His metrics aren't quite the same. His velocity has dipped. And so it's just, with only 1 year of control remaining, it's hard to know if you're getting everything that you think you could get with a trade of him. So now they have to play the game of, do they wait till the trade deadline, hope he has a strong first half, and then try to capitalize on sending him off as a rental for a competitor? I don't know. It's hard to understand the mindset going into this year, especially with a new manager. He's trying to figure everything out. So I think it has a chance of being a learning experience, some growing pains a little bit as they're trying to make this transition of not fully rebuilding once again. And trying to hang on to these pieces that they have. They got Scott Barlow to help in the back end of the bullpen. Like, they have some pieces, but then they also have a lot of question marks and a lot of young players who are going to have to really thrive in the majors, which is hard to do at the beginning of your career, for them to have success.
Interesting. And as you talk about Shane Bieber, I know he was connected to the Dodgers. They were reportedly at one point looking to make a trade happen for Bieber. You can talk about Emmanuel Clase and how there's a lot that would have to be involved in that trade to make it actually happen. So what do you anticipate the Cleveland Guardians are going to do? What do you see as the priority maybe for that next move or direction that they're headed?
I really don't know. At this point, like at the beginning of the offseason, if you would have asked me this then, I would have said Shane Bieber 100% will be traded. Then they ended up DFAing Cal Quantrill and then trading him to Colorado. And without him in the rotation, suddenly that depth is really, really thin. They don't really have the pipeline that they've had in the past, waiting in the minors to come up if there would be an injury or anything else. So right now they're relying on these 5 guys that they have. They did bring in Carlos Carrasco again on a minor league deal that should help give a little bit of depth. And they have some guys who could be able to provide that. But for a long-term answer, if they would run into injuries like they did last year, it will be really stretched thin if they get rid of Shane Bieber. So I just don't know if they have the room to do that right now. And it's just, this is so uncharacteristic for them. They rarely let guys like starting pitchers of this caliber walk into free agency. So I'm sure they'll try to, if they don't do anything now, capitalize on it at the trade deadline if they can. But right now, I just wouldn't be surprised if they stand pat and they try to figure out what they can do with the guys that they have in their system right now at spring training to fill out this opening day roster.
So, Mandy, a lot of the things we've paid attention to here in the offseason are the top 10 rankings of MLB Network. What does Jose Ramirez have to do to be recognized finally as the best third baseman in baseball? Like, who did this guy offend?
I don't know. I think that that's something that Guardians fans would love to have the answer to. They love to post about that. I mean, I think he's really done a lot to make sure that he's in that conversation, because the biggest thing for him in the past had been defense, and that's what has always been holding him back. But over the last few years, he's talked about how much he's worked on his defense to make sure that he is that all-around best third baseman. And so I do think the work that he's put in there has allowed him to jump up in those rankings a little bit more, and be in this conversation of, okay, maybe he should be number one. And I know a lot of Cleveland fans are positive he should be number one. But I mean, it's hard to really say anything negative about him. He's in the MVP conversation every single year. You look on his baseball reference page and he's getting votes. It seems like every year for the last 6-7 years. It's maybe 1 year he missed, but he's always in the conversation. His numbers are so consistent, and it's just so nice for the Guardians, who have an offense right now that is really unpredictable, and you're not really sure where you're going to get your production from. But it's nice to have that one consistent guy that every year you know the numbers he's going to put up and you know what he's able to provide.
Yeah, one thing that's consistent from what you've shared is, we definitely, between the Phillies and the Guardians, have players that we've talked about that should be higher on rankings and maybe not getting the credit that they deserve, but also both teams seeming to be in just kind of a wait and see period of, let's just roll with the roster we've got and go from there. Now, curious to know your thoughts from the outside looking in on the Phillies and the NL East, and just kind of the thoughts on how this team is shaping out, but also how the NL East is shaping out. Because as we were talking about prior, the Braves expected to win again around 100 wins this year. The Phillies projected to win around 85. But as a team specifically, what are your thoughts on the squad for the Phillies as well as the NL East?
Now, I'm used to the AL Central, and there's no one that's going to be projected to have 100 wins in this division. So that's a division that would be a different type of monster to have to take on. So I don't think having to see any projections for the Braves would be fun as any type of competitor. That's just brutal to always have to be facing them. But I think for the Phillies, it's just something that, from an outsider's perspective, it just seems like there's got to be a chip on the shoulder to just keep getting so close over the last few years. And it's just so close and then just not there. I know this last postseason was really, really difficult. That environment is so fun as an outside fan to sit there and watch how difficult it must be for opponents to come in there. I think it's great for baseball whenever Philadelphia is in that type of contention. And so I think that it's a team that, even though they've had success, it seems like over the last few years, there's still sort of like an underdog type of mentality of maybe they're not quite there yet. And I don't know why that's continually the thought, because it just seems like they keep proving people wrong. And so because of that, I wouldn't be surprised to just watch them be this underdog type of contender yet again, and watch them come into the season and be like, okay, we still have this chip on our shoulder, and for some reason people keep doubting us, so we're going to prove them wrong. But I think it's, once again, just shaping up to be a really fun type of competitive division, because you have to have it like that. You have to come in ready to win when you have a team like the Braves just sitting there being as lethal as any major league team could be.
Yeah, Mandy does a great job for those in the chat. Mandy Bell, you can follow her on Twitter at MandyBell02, I believe. She covers the Guardians for MLB.com. We have our own Todd Zalecki in town, MLB.com. Phillies writer. I've been asking a lot of the reporters we've had on this question, because I think heels are good for sports. Now, the Yankees have returned to like kind of Death Star, early 2000s, and money is no object type of team. And of course, the Dodgers spent over $1 billion this offseason, which is wild to say out loud. Do you think these super teams are good for baseball? Because I do. I'm curious what you think.
I think that there's an argument for both sides. I think it's great because it gets fans really, really excited whenever there's like nothing is off the table type of mindset. I think that's fun, because you can sit there and you can say, oh my gosh, what are they going to do next? Like they don't have to be done right now. And how can they continue to keep going out and figuring out how to become a powerhouse? There's a way that this is really, really fun. You can see some of baseball's biggest stars playing together, and to think of the Dodgers with, you have Mookie Betts, you have Ohtani, you have so many guys, like that's really, really fun. And you think about with this new type of schedule that they have now, where the Dodgers will be playing all over the country and seeing more fan bases than what they had in the past, that's going to draw a crowd, because you're having superstars coming into town that maybe you hadn't seen before, and they're all in one place. So I do think in those types of regards, it is great for baseball. because you can see these really excellent stars coming together in one place. And so I think that'll be fun to see Aaron Judge, Juan Soto. I think it's great for those types of things. Now, on the other aspect, I will have Guardians fans sitting here telling me this is the worst thing ever, and we can't have anyone in Cleveland because they can't afford anybody. So I understand both sides of it, because it is difficult for small market teams. It can be perceived as not an equal playing field because they just can't go out and spend money. The Guardians can't spend Shohei Ohtani money. The front office made jokes with us all the time, like, "Are you guys going to ask us if we're in on Ohtani yet, or what's going on?" Like, it's just known. It's the small markets can't quite compete in that type of realm. So I can understand the mindset of a small market fan where you're like, well, no, this isn't fun because my team can never ever have that type of player on it. And it takes someone like Jose Ramirez to take a team-friendly extension to be able to stay in Cleveland. So I can see both sides of it for sure.
So on that note, does the Kansas City signing of Bobby Witt Jr. the other day kind of give a little bit more hope to these small market teams, or do you think that's just kind of a one-off because he's so special and young?
I don't know if it's hope or I don't know if it's bitterness. It could be either, because fans are now like, okay, if the Royals can do it, why haven't we done this? And so it's a good point. It's a question that everyone should have, because if the Royals can pull off a number like that, I mean, it's really, really hard to imagine other teams coming up with excuses as to why they can't. And so yes, I think it could be helpful to say, look, a small market team is doing something like this. And I think that other small market teams, there is potential for them to do similar types of things. But I think there's also a side of it where fans are maybe a little bitter about it. Like, okay, so now we're proving that it can be done and it hasn't been. Why?
So, Mandy, earlier you were talking about Shane Bieber probably returning at least to start the year, and I look at that rotation with him and McKenzie, a candidate to return, and Bibby, and my question to you is, because I still can't wrap my head around this, 7 months later now, why did the Guardians move Aaron Sveum at the deadline last year?
For Manzardo, Kyle Manzardo was the biggest type of return that they could have, as long as he pans out the way that they're hoping. So this offense is their biggest problem. They just don't have guys who produce. They don't have power hitters. They've been at the bottom of the leaderboard and almost in slugging and homers and RBIs and all these categories the last few years. And they need to figure out an answer. And Manzardo has the possibility to be that, because he is someone who is like his hit ability is above his power ability, but now his power ability is growing as well. And so when you combine those two, that's a type of hitter that the Guardians just have not seen in a while. And so to plug that into the middle of the order at some point, whether he makes the opening day roster or not, I think that could be really, really big for them. And Aaron Sveum wasn't this big difference maker. He had a really hot July, and that's why his trade value was through the roof. That's why they were able to get Kyle Manzardo for him at that time. But when they valued it, they looked at it as, okay, we have all of these great starting pitchers, and Aaron Sveum isn't this tremendous difference maker. You look through this right now, and honestly, he might be the sixth guy if you're looking through this rotation right now, which they need a sixth guy right now. But still, if you're looking for that in the long run and you can capitalize that for a bat that they really think could pan out for them, it's a trade that probably needed to be made. It was just difficult at that time because Guardians fans were still hanging on to the hope that they could make a run in the division because the Twins weren't running away with it just yet.
Yeah, and Mandy, we love the work that you do. You do a tremendous job covering the Guardians. That's eminent in everything that you're sharing, all the insight. But before we let you go, couldn't be remiss without talking to you, especially on this National Girls and Women in Sports Day, about a tremendous fellow female colleague, your best friend, Sarah Langs, who you did a beautiful piece around her battle. She has ALS. You're helping to promote #SarahStrong. Want to just give our viewers and listeners a chance to hear about Sarah, the work that you guys have been doing to raise awareness, and how they can support as well.
Baseball is the best.
Oh, man. Yes, exactly. The support that she's had since she went public with her diagnosis has just been overwhelming. And if it's overwhelming for me, I can only imagine what it is for her. It's shows how wonderful this community can be. It shows how wonderful social media can be, because we forget that at times because it can be such a dark place. But it's been just so tremendous for her in her efforts. I think it's been, goodness, what was it, October 2022 that she went public with it. So it's been a little bit over a year now that she's been out there. But as soon as she went public with it, I started a GoFundMe at that time, and we were able to raise $105,000 through that GoFundMe for her, for ALS research. Her favorite charity that she works with is Project ALS. And so she was able to make a really sizable donation to them, which was wonderful. And so since then, she's just been doing different things to make sure that people are connected in the community to the ALS world, and trying to find as much funding as we can, because just, it's crazy how underfunded it is. It's crazy how it's been prominent for so long. I mean, it's named after Lou Gehrig. You think about how long this has been going on, and there's just been very little progression in finding a cure for this. And so it's just something that is very important to her, and obviously very important to me. It's not fun to have to watch your best friend go through something so miserable as this is. And so trying to find any way to get this out there, be a little bit more public than what it is the only thing that we care about.
Mandy, we have some very charitable listeners and followers of the show. If somebody did want to make a donation, what is the best way to go about it? Is it to buy, one of these pitching ninja shirts? Baseball is the best. Is it to make a donation right to the ALS Foundation, to Sarah's Foundation? Like, what's the best way for people to help out here?
All three of those are wonderful ways to go about it. I think if you want something in return, the t-shirt is awesome, and it's actually the most comfortable t-shirt I own. And I've heard a lot of people say that. So the baseball is the best shirt that has "and ALS" down the middle. When Pitching Ninja and RotoWare came to me before Sarah found out about it with that design, I was blown away. I just thought it was the coolest design ever. And it's so cool because I've gone to Disney World with my husband and some friends. I've gone to different places, and I randomly see people wearing those shirts. And it's just, that's my favorite thing. And she gets so excited when she sees those as well. So that one's amazing. There's I think it's a Lang star is the actual phrase for the star that Carl Ravitch started. And there's stars that are being sold all over the country that are little decorative stars. I mean, you plug them in and they light up, and his goal is to one day be able to fly over the country and seeing everything lit up below, and seeing all the stars outside of people's houses for Sarah, because she is just such a light in this world that we don't really see as often as we should. So there's those stars that you can order, and all the proceeds from that go to ALS research as well. You can just go straight to Project ALS. That's who Sarah works so closely with. And I think she still has the link in her bio on X. I almost said Twitter, still practicing that, on X. Fist bumps for ALS is what she still is raising money for. So I think you can go there as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing you guys are doing.
Yeah, and it's more important than sports, honestly. And it's the reminder that there are causes that unite us, that we can all together work towards finding research and more medications and information around. So, Mandy, definitely appreciate you taking time out of your Wednesday to join us here on the show and weigh in on what's going on with the Guardians as well as around the league. And it's been a pleasure having you. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. And thanks for bringing up all the ALS stuff. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
All the best, Mandy. Enjoy the season. I'm sure she's getting ready to head down to.
Yeah.
Are the Indians? They're out west in the Arizona League, so she gets like probably a month in the Scottsdale area. Not bad.
Yeah, fellow Penn State alum. We're getting inundated, Jamie, with Penn
Tyler,
State
did you pull up the alumni directory and find everybody in baseball?
That was literally like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna start reaching out to my friends, because the thing is, it's not just like my friends and they're like they're cool people, because they're all good people, but like, they're super good at their jobs.
Yeah, Mandy was awesome.
Definitely.
Mandy's done a great job, and
Desha's
Desha's done a great job, and Justin's done a great job. Yeah. They're quality workers and quality people in the game of baseball, but they're all better people.
They all just have one problem with them. They went to Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, you could call that.
And I don't know. I mean, it is kind of their fault.
Yeah.
They chose it. But
I like how stunned they all are when I ask them about James Franklin. Like, whoa, didn't see that one coming. Welcome to my baseball podcast.
You're notably bringing out that one question that throws a guest off their seat a little bit.
I didn't know I was talking James
whether
Franklin
it's the international prospects or James Franklin. Like, you're always locked and loaded with at least one question.
Well, at least Mandy was ready to, fire him. You know, that
Listen,
was
for sure.
we all have our thoughts on James Franklin. It's just not what you expect when
Mandy
you
was
come
ready
onto
to
a
Not
baseball
at all.
show.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I know in the chat you guys are saying good luck to Sarah, as well as your thoughts on Mandy is a great guest. Thank you, Jay. Happy Women in Sports Day to everybody. Make sure you tell the women and the girls around you. It's girls that are players, coaches, women that are, if you're a reporter, whatever, it's all types of aspects.
Yeah,
of
and if you're
working in
unfamiliar
sports.
with Mandy and Sarah's story, I tweeted
my
out
goodness, yeah.
the YouTube link last night that talks about her battle with ALS and
They both do
how
such
much
a
they're
great
helping
job.
out the ALS research and funding. So it's great stuff. You can check that out. It was on MLB Network, and Sarah Lang does a great job. Been following her for a while on Twitter, and all the best, man. That's just brutal.
It is. And I applaud them for being so, especially Sarah, being open about it and sharing to bring more awareness, because that's not easy to do, to be transparent and vulnerable in that way. So for Sarah and for Mandy and all the work they're doing around ALS, it's definitely very important. Ray, are you also a Penn State alum? I see the we are, or are you just, jumping in with the we are? I'm not sure there. I'm not sure. But listen, we have not a lot of time
Renee,
left and a good amount of...
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. Okay.
Aren't they one of the biggest?
It is the largest networking.
I was gonna say I thought it was them in Texas.
I texted that. I don't know if you thought I was joking. Like, it is the largest dues paying collegiate network in the country.
Yeah, it's huge.
Okay.
It's big.
So it was, I'm rocking my squad, my school today too. We're in my LaSalle yellow because we're also very big.
It's gold.
And
LaSalle.
okay.
It's the blue and the gold. I mean, I'm just saying. There's a difference. At least get your alumni's colors right.
Wow.
Jeez.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Well, I went to its high school.
This is true.
I have LaSalle in my blood.
Okay.
My dad went to the university.
Are we LaSallians? I said that yesterday to Tyler. I almost vomited because I was like, LaSallians.
I mean,
and I'm like,
technically, you're probably right.
I mean, that's the best word that we have, which is not a great one. Ray is also a Penn State alum. Oh, Jim, we are
Jim
everywhere.
said we are everywhere.
All right.
It's not
Penn
a cold,
State,
I swear.
the home of the stalkers that are lurking everywhere. Okay, let's roll through this.
Provolone John, with the expansion of the Big Ten, we are at least going to finish top 5 or 6. It's a good outlook.
There you go. There's a nice joke too. I see what you did there. I see what you did. All right, we've got to get down on the farm. I haven't sung my Down on the Farm song in a while, and I would do it today, but we're short on time. But we're going down on the farm with Mick Abel. I'm just going to put that in the jugular because we don't have a lot of prospects left, Jamie.
In the jugular?
What?
You're going to die. Don't put it in your jugular.
Don't do anything to your jugular. You will die.
Wait, what?
The jugular's like your main
It's like
vein.
a huge vein that sends blood to your head.
Don't put it in there.
Don't do that.
That's not what I meant then. I used the wrong word. Dang it, I started the show.
Put it in your craw? What were you going for there?
I started the show strong with my knowledge of noble gases, and I've gone left not knowing where the jugular is located. I said put it in my jugular and put it to my head.
In your brain cage.
Yeah. Put it in my noggin. There we go. Mick Abel is listed for us as our number 3 prospect. He's been listed as high as number 2.
Name test.
I'm not going to lie. I think it's like an average name.
I think it sounds baseball-y. I wouldn't say he's a lock for a Hall of Fame, but I think he's a big league pitcher with that name.
I mean, I go back to calling him Mickey, just like we did before with one of our other prospects.
He's McLean, right? Isn't
Alex McFarland.
Yes.
And Mick Abel can both rock the nickname Mickey.
I think it's
Mickey Abel sounds better than Mick Abel.
I don't know. He doesn't sound like a Mickey.
Oh, Mickey, you're so fine.
I don't think you want a Mickey on the mound. You want a Mickey in the batter's box.
That's a good point.
So
right.
Mick is good.
Hit it.
Now pitching for the Phillies, your number 3 starter, Mick Abel.
It's such a short name.
It is. It's
I feel
short.
Like something's got to be a little bit longer.
I think it's a good baseball.
I mean, at least Abel's 2 syllables.
Yeah.
I always feel like you can't
he's-
have 2 1-syllable names.
I think it's a perennial all-star type of name.
Okay.
Might be on the doorstep.
Abel.
Mick Abel, yeah.
All right.
Not bad.
Spiralot saying also a good baseball name. All right. I think he passed the name test. I think it's okay. Like, it's not like, oh, yay, Mick Abel.
It wouldn't translate to any other sport.
No.
So if he was going to be a professional maybe bowling. I could see Mick Abel being a bowler.
Mick Abel for 3.
Yeah, no.
Go, Mick Abel, go. No.
He's a baseball player.
Yeah, he's a baseball
All
player.
right, I'm glad we settled that.
That was easy. So Mick Abel, who is listed as our number 3 on the prospect list, the big question around Mick Abel is he going to be able to crack the Major League roster? I agree with you, CMC. Let's look at the stats and figure out if this is the year. 22 years old, nice, tall, 6'5" frame, 190,
Lanky.
slender. He's slender, man. He split time with Reading and Lehigh Valley in 2023.
Slender Man a horror film?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not a horror movie guy, but I know that.
Yeah, slender, and you can't say it like 3 times. I think it's
Slender
like
Man,
Candyman.
Slender Man, Slender Man.
Okay, calm it down over there,
No,
Candyman.
that's Candyman.
No, but I thought Slenderman's the same thing.
And
You can't
Beetlejuice.
say-
And Beetlejuice. Yeah.
No, I could have sworn Slenderman. You can't say something. But anyways, he went 5 for 6, a 4.13 ERA with 132 strikeouts. Slenderman also had a 1.26 WHIP and 65 walks, 61% strike rate. Wow, that's an eye test. 2.03 strikes per walk. Is that a 2 or a 7? I think it's a 2.
It's a 2.
Okay, wow. I feel like I'm doing
just over 2
covering
strikeouts
my
per walk.
eye test. 17.42 pitches per inning pitched. All right, so here's what some of the reports have indicated about Mick. Like we already know, 2024 could and should be the year that we see him get some pitches in the majors.
Well,
now,
hopefully.
he has, of course, been taking the backseat to Andrew Painter, who, as we know, is not pitching in 2024. That's been evident. Dave Dombrowski made that clear. And there's a lot of things that he's got in his arsenal. So for Mick Abel, specifically, he does need to work on improving his command. His talent has never been a question. He's definitely got the build. He's got the frame. He also has an impressive 5-pitch mix with a 4-seam fastball that averaged around 96 miles per hour, could hit as high as the triple digits, 2 distinct breaking balls, and could possibly see himself, depending on what happens this season for the Phillies. Such a long season. Injuries happen. Wear happens. Just the longevity of it, that maybe we see him get some innings in the majors, but definitely will be with Lehigh Valley this year. And as I know Dombrowski was talking about, is not expected to crack the roster as soon as, coming out of spring training,
No.
but potentially can as the year wears on, that we see Mick Abel get the call up, Jamie.
Now pitching. Yeah, we'll have to go up and see a game in Reading this year, because this is a huge year for Mick Abel. The raw power and ability has always been there. Having a 5-pitch arsenal at age 20 like that is some nasty stuff. As you said, his strikeout, his fastball, this kid throws gas. He averaged 95.9, just shy of 96, like you said. He finished second in the Phillies system and second in the AA Eastern League in strikeouts last year. The strikeout stuff is there. Like, his swing and miss stuff is absolutely there. He had a 29% whiff rate, and he showed excellent life through the zone. Scouts love life through the zone, Tyler. As long as the ball's still moving when it crosses the plate, the hitter's job is a lot harder. His issue is command and control, and he didn't have it last year. Walked a lot of guys. The stuff is there. Some people credit the loss in command because it did get a little bit worse. He was the Phillies' top prospect in 2022, down to second last year. Now he's third. Part of that slipping is loss in command and control. And, part of that is also Andrew Painter and Justin Crawford jumping him a little bit, but his command is not good. And he has to correct that this year. His repertoire, as you said, 5 pitches is outstanding. His off-speed pitches his off-speed pitches are a mid-80s curveball, which scouts project as a plus pitch for him. His slider went through several changes last year. First, he changed it. Tyler, get the cigarette and bonbon ready. He changed his gyro shaped to a sweeper, and then split the difference and settled on a gyro slider / cutter hybrid.
Wow.
So, you hit this ball out of the park, you can call it whatever you want. I think of a Ryan Kirkerine's sweeper. It's like, whatever the hell they want to call it anymore. It's a slider, slurve, sweeper, like whatever the hell it is. He's got 5 pitches. They're all plus, with the low 80s curveball. He throws a hard breaking ball, and it's just all going to come down to whether or not he can, regain that control in the command. He's 6'5" now, so he kind of gets on top of you quickly if you're a batter because he's so lanky. You'd like to see a little bit of weight and muscle put on to not that he needs to throw harder per se, but maybe just fill out the frame for durability a little bit. But there's an outside chance he could compete maybe around the All-Star game for that 6th starter spot if Nelson or Covey, screw the pooch and he starts the year strong.
Okay.
You never heard screwed the pooch?
I mean, no.
Well, if they screw the pooch and he's doing really well in Reading, he might get called up and given that opportunity this year. I, for one, would love to see it because I've heard about this kid now since he's been drafted, and at once he was can't miss, and now he's having the control and command struggles. We'll see, but this is I would say the first 2 months of this year are pretty huge for Mick Abel.
I agree. I mean, since getting drafted back in 2020, Mick Abel has been making progress. Even last year, there was a stretch across 4 starts in August and September where his ERA was a 1.17. His walk rate improved of 12.6%. Like, you've been seeing improvement, even as you mentioned, changing how his pitches are looking. So he's got the ability to tweak things, and we've been seeing him find ways to, take those steps, and even just an improvement from Reading to Lehigh Valley. And I think this should be the year. Now, will he be an everyday starter? No. The Phillies don't need to have a 6-man rotation, and he's not better than any of the other 5. And I do think we'll see him, of course, get opportunities. And I think that's the only thing that you can ask. He's only 22, which is important. He's still very young.
22, 23, if you're,
he'll
a
be
top
23
3 prospect, that's usually about the time teams start considering
and
bringing you up.
And he doesn't turn 23 until August, which for whatever,
Yeah, even if he fails this year, the book is not closed on Mick Abel.
So that's not a make or break year, but it's important.
When you got it, you got it. And if he's truly got it, I think this is a huge year for him.
I think it's absolutely huge because you definitely want to see him get those opportunities that now, he's been making those adjustments, as we mentioned, see how it translates into the majors. Now you can always go back to the drawing board if you need to fix anything, which he probably would. Go back to the drawing board, but at least get that confidence of getting a taste of, pitching with.
But between him and Andrew Painter, who we'll talk about, spoiler alert, he's the number 1 prospect still. Between him and Andrew Painter, they had 2 of the top 12 hardest throwers in the minors last year.
Yeah.
Andrew Painter came in number 6, and Mick Abel came in number 12. So, your top 2 pitching prospects throw gas. Andrew Painter came in at 96.3. Mick Abel, as we said, 95.9. So, there's a lot to be excited about with this kid. We'll pay attention closely to him this year. Tyler, your thoughts? Mick Abel, future Hall of Famer?
Well, there's a lot to like with Mick Abel. And, I mean, there is a lot to like. Plus stuff on multiple pitches. The fastball moves. It's got life. And you talked about that stride, right? And you have a guy that's 6'5" already, so he's already taking a long stride
he's landing
down
on the grass
hill.
Almost.
And his extension is like Zach Wheeler-like extension. There is so much to like about this kid, and one major flaw.
So the scouts have said, to your point, the Phillies are reworking his release point because they don't want his follow. They think his loss of command has to do with his release point being so far down. So they want him to shorten that release point.
It's certainly possible, right?
So that's what he's going to be working on in spring training and early this year.
Extension's significant, but you can overextend yourself, and that's certainly possible. I will say this, like, if Mick Abel cleans up command to a point where I think they have him at 35-45 or something like that, if he gets
his controls of 40 on the scout scale.
So if you get 40 up to 45 or 50, you have something special there. And I don't know if that necessarily translates to him being an immediate effective starter in Major League Baseball, but I think it translates to long-term success.
I think he's projected to be
he's
at
probably
best
a 3.
a 2,
I think he's
but
a 3
he's most likely projected to be a 3 in Major League.
I look at this kid and I really get frustrated with the command thing, and then I look at everything else and I go,
so there's a lot what there. Tyler's talking about is the scouting grades. His fastball comes in at a 70 from the scouts. His curveball is a 60. His slider is a 55, and his changeup is a 60. Those are all remarkable, grades from scouts on his stuff. So his stuff is there. It's just can he get the command and the control? Right. That's the $1 million question that the Phillies want an answer to this year, because he's got stuff and he's got power. So really pulling for this kid. Hope he figures it out, because the Phillies might have a little something here.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And I know Scott G. What's up, Scott? You were asking about Painter throwing at all this year. As Dave mentioned, no, Painter is not expected to be able to pitch this season and is expected to be back in 2025. So definitely Mick Abel right now is one of the prospects that we're hoping and expecting to take that next step and to make that progress, the numbers to continue to improve, and to see what he can do with the Phillies. Now, there have been some other news before we get into Guess That Stance, because, of course, we're already over the hour. We've got to touch on a couple quick updates around the league. One, there are some Major League Baseball lifers, some guys that have had some extensions and are staying with their team they've been with for a very long time. Clayton Kershaw, after 17 seasons, is going to be once again an LA Dodger. As we talked about yesterday, allegedly the Dodgers are not done making big splashes yet, I say with air quotes, whatever that means. But one move that they've made is bringing back Clayton Kershaw, who's still recovering from shoulder surgery, is not expected to be able to take the field until the summer, but is, however, going to remain with the Dodgers. Jose Altuve, the second baseman, has been signed to a 5-year, $125 million extension with the Astros, which will take him through age 39. So he now is going to be an Astro for life. And Altuve, that news also dropped yesterday as well. So the Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Dodgers locking in two of their lifers. Jamie?
Yeah, Jose Altuve, at least 5 more years of cheating down in Houston. That's great.
And then
I kid. He's a great player, but he's still a cheater.
That's it. That's all you got on him.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player. Somebody that small shouldn't be able to do what he does, but he does it, maybe with the help of cheating. I don't know.
Who knows? And then JD Martinez, a lot of GMs
You got a trash can lid back there, Tyler? Want to bang on that real quick for me?
Actually, I don't. We have none of our trash cans actually have lids.
Oh, well, damn.
And
they do in the girls' bathroom.
They're plastic too.
JD Martinez. Apparently, JD Martinez is, as some GMs are reporting, is a perfect fit for some teams. Who are those teams? Possibly the Cleveland Guardians were one that got brought up.
Baseball.
Bob Nightingale.
Yeah.
Do that baseball.
Crack of the bat.
Bob Nightingale is saying that GMs around the league think that free agent slugger JD Martinez is best suited to join the Cleveland Guardians. I've heard a couple other teams
according
that were
to some reports,
mixed in there.
Several conversations with the New York Mets.
The Mets have been another team. So who knows?
JD Martinez is one of these guys that's just kind of underrated year after year, and will travel around and be a journeyman, but produces everywhere he goes. Nelson Cruz was this for years and years. Seemed like he was changing teams every year, and I was like, would the Phillies just sign him? He's going to hit 50-plus home runs in Citizens Bank Park. And JD Martinez is just kind of that same guy. Just produces everywhere he goes, changes teams every year, kind of underappreciated. I would hate to see him in shitty field.
And then last thing I want to hit on that we haven't had a chance to talk about, talking about big hitters. Well, the best hitter all time for the Phillies, there was an article that came out. Major League Baseball, I believe, is one that put it out. Actually, of course, now I can't find the link. For the best hitters all time for every club, and for the Phillies, the best hitter that they listed. I don't know if we have time to make you guys guess, or if you even saw it.
Best hitter of all time.
Best hitter of all time for the Phillies. Nope.
Wait, what's the question?
So on Sunday, I believe it was, that I saw this article that came out. There was a list of best hitters all time for every individual club.
So are we saying
who do you think was listed for the Phillies?
Best as a Philly, or the best hitter who put on a Phillies uniform?
I don't know all the. They don't ever list the rubric, Tyler. I don't know. It's just listed as best hitter all time for each club.
Well, then it's Mike Schmidt.
Oh, it's BR Walk-Off that did it.
It's Mike Schmidt then.
Joel Reuter. So there's no.
It's Pete Rose unless you count him as a red.
There's no details.
That's what I'm saying. I would consider Pete Rose as a red, but to me it's Mike Schmidt, and if it's not, then you have to go with your all-time hits leader, and it's Jimmy Rollins. But it's Mike Schmidt.
Okay. So they compile different stats, and this as I'm looking at it, but it's not. You're wrong. They actually have listed best hitter, and this is still, it's very interesting. Oh, I'm sorry.
This was the 90s
Maybe
only.
I should. Maybe I should read, guys. Reading's important.
Best hitter of the 90s.
Yeah, I had to find it. I couldn't find it. It was so far.
So
I wanted
Mike
to talk
Schmidt,
about
Definitively
this.
not Mike Schmidt.
It was
Mike,
not Mike Schmidt.
So,
yes,
did he make it to 91? 90? Did he make it to?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe
So,
88 was his last.
I had this listed, and I couldn't find the link because it was actually supposed to be talked about in Monday's show, but here we are on Wednesday. So full disclaimer, I was like stalling while I was trying to find the exact thing. Yes, it's every Major League Baseball team's best hitter of the 1990s. So sorry about that, guys. I sent you on a wild goose chase. 1990s, Joel Reuter of Bleacher Report put this out.
I saw the answer, so I'm not going to answer.
It is none other than
Jim Eisenreich.
Huh?
Jim Eisenreich.
No.
He was smooth.
Darren Dalton.
Darren Dalton, probably.
It is Darren Dalton.
It's Dutch, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
92 numbers, 270, 385, 524/27 home runs, 109 RBIs, 6.9 WAR, 156
Lenny was
OPS,
probably better, wasn't
and
he?
then was close to that in 93 as well. Lenny was close as well. They actually had Lenny and
Lenny hit above 300 a couple times in the 90s.
yes, and then they were talking about John Kruk as
Kruk
also.
was probably the best true
Yeah.
like swing and hitter. Of
So
that
they're
team.
saying John Kruk was a solid contact hitter with a perennial 300 batting average, but it's Dalton who was the team's best offensive player. But Lenny, Kruk, and Scott Rowland actually they all got honorable mentions.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty surprised by this.
I love Dutch, but like I don't know,
Darren?
Lenny
Darren Dalton.
and technically Scott Rowland played in the 90s too.
Right, but they have Scott as an honorable mention. I know. I was actually really. This is why I've been wanting to talk about it. I've been sitting on this for a couple days because when I read this, I was thoroughly surprised by this
and
list.
Bobby Abreu was alive in the 90s too, wasn't he?
Was alive? Sure. Yeah, he was
Alive in the
alive.
Phillies uniform. He came
That's what
up in
people in the chat are
96.
saying,
I know,
Abreu.
Philly 98, 99, 2000. So Bobby Abreu was Bobby Abreu's first 3 years in Philadelphia. 312, 335, 316. On base, 409, 446, 416. Sorry, Dutch.
They're saying
Bobby Abreu is horribly underrated in this city.
and see,
Yes.
they're
he
and
didn't
they're-
run after the ball in the alpha. Yeah, well, he was
Right.
one of the best pure hitters.
yeah.
Of
His
a
on
team
base
that
was over
was hot
400
garbage.
constantly.
I know. So the
So
writing
Bleacher
is
Report's
that
drunk.
there is a strong case to be made that Darren Dalton was the third best catcher of the 90s behind only Mike Piazza of Piazza, Ivan Rodriguez, and he was counted on as a middle-of-the-order run producer on some good Philadelphia Phillies teams. In fact, he was a legitimate superstar during a brief 2-year peak in 92 and 93. So because of his 92 and 93 numbers, they have him listed as the best hitter for the Phillies in 92.
I
mean, in the 90s,
disagree,
excuse
Bleacher
me.
Report.
Yeah, so there you go.
I would say Dykstra, Rowland, and Abreu all better hitters in the 90s.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have Abreu as an honorable mention.
Well,
it's
dumb.
Lenny Dykstra, John Kruk, and Scott Rowland. So there you have it, guys. According to BR, Joel Reuter feels as though it was Darren Dalton.
All right, Renee, we're not doing a 2-hour show today. Let's get to the hats.
I forgot about the hats.
Still have hats.
Oh my god.
And guess that swing.
We don't have to do guess that swing. You just do hats.
No, we're doing Guess That Swing.
Gosh, there's so many things on our show sheet. Oh, I'm now on the wrong day. I'm on Monday again. All right, so we've got some hats to talk about.
Are
Jamie
you
and
sensing the theme here,
Tyler.
Tyler? I'm closer to an hour than Renee's shows ever are.
Okay, no, you had it at 1:20. So let's talk about some hats because where are the hats?
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to today's PHLY Phillies podcast. If you like what you saw, leave a like, comment, and
it's not
subscription.
my fault. It is my fault. We got the list.
Are you still
there it
thinking
is.
about
the
Elemental?
batting practice hats have been released. Woo! And we're back, guys. Welcome back. Batting practice hats have been released, and I was gonna try to make another Noble Gas joke, and I can't.
I knew
So
you were thinking about it.
I was. That's also why I was in my brain. I was cooking up a gas joke, Noble Gas joke. So we took some time to pick our favorites batting practice caps. Let's start first with the Phillies. Here's what they've got. Finally, an ode to the fanatic. Off the bat, I don't love this. I like that it's using the fanatic, but it's just like it's very,
for me, it's just okay at best.
it's just kind of bland.
I like that they went different and outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad
It's
I'm
just-
glad it's finally the fanatic and not the Liberty Bell.
It's just a lot of the other clubs are so much better.
Well, that's the thing. What makes it worse is when you take a look at the other clubs' hats. And Jamie, Tyler, and I were trying to pick our favorites, and I actually have like 2 or 3 that easily jump off the page as favorite.
Out of me.
But my favorite, I'm going on to Kansas City. This is the only Kansas City positive thing that I hope happens in this week.
As an adult, I just don't know if I can wear
the
that
Royals hat. I love the colors. Obviously, that's their actual colors, but I also like the simple crest of the KCR. It's giving you a good balance of simplicity with a papa color, with also like I would wear this around. I wouldn't as a Phillies person, but I would wear this cap around and feel like it stands out. And I think it'd get a lot of compliments. You know, you want to, in my opinion, I'm not a big hat person. I know you guys are as you're wearing hats right now. If I'm wearing a hat, it's either A, because I'm having a bad hair day, or because I'm like, all right, I really like this hat and I'm showing it off. I don't just wear hats to just wear hats like you guys do. So this is one I think I would absolutely rock. It's classic. It pops. It's my favorite color too. I love light blue.
Baby blue.
Yeah, I'm a light blue girl.
Mine, I went with, it was tough because there was a lot I really liked, but I went with the Detroit Tigers as my favorite. I think that's just like
stripes.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about that's awesome. The Detroit D has always been, pretty good.
I was going to let you pause yourself.
I did.
You definitely threw yourself right out there.
I like that one. My runner-up was the Milwaukee Brewers, and they had like a guy wearing a keg barrel around his chest, swinging like out of his shoes for a home run swing. I thought that was pretty good. The Diamondbacks was awesome. There's a lot of good ones, like the Blue Jays, the Cubs. They're pretty much all better than the Phillies. Tyler, what was yours?
Yeah, so I really thought for a long time about picking the Cubs because I thought the
it was
cartoon
perfect.
Cubby and the blue it's a really beautiful hat.
Yeah, it is.
But much like most late 20s, early 30 baseball fans who grew up with this team being really, really bad, were obsessed with all things Devil Rays.
Yeah,
as opposed
this was one
to
of
the
my
Rays.
tops.
I love this hat. I wish they'd go back to the color scheme. You don't have to become the Devil Rays again. You can stay the Rays.
Yeah.
But when they wear the old school, like that lime to dark blue jerseys, they're by far their best jerseys. I love this hat.
Not going to see Wander Franco wearing that hat this year.
Yeah, that's a good one there. That was one of my tops. That one.
He's going to be in jail, Tyler.
There's a lot of chaos going on these days.
The A's hat was good. Franco, I agree. There was a ton of good hats.
There were.
I would put the Phillies on the bottom
Phillies
third.
hat, unfortunately, with the Fanatic was kind of like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, great, finally a use of the Fanatic. And then I was looking at the other hats, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. There's more creativity.
As a full-grown
colors.
adult, I would.
That's the thing. You don't want to wear a hat.
I want to get that hat for my
daughter.
daughters. Like, they would love it.
Right.
But
right.
like, I don't know if I'm wearing that.
You might wear a hat with Florida on the shape of Florida on it, but you're not rocking the Fanatic.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a manly or
the
an
golf course
adult.
I
It's
played.
not even an adult shirt. It's not a womanly or manly hat that you would rock. All right. Well, I've stalled long enough, guys, because it's time for Jamie and Tyler's favorite game of the day. I guess that stands. You know what we do here. Players for the Phillies that have played with the Phillies between 2006 and current day. It's been pretty challenging. We're doing this for like 300 more days, apparently, that they're going to make me suffer through this. There are so many other, I'd rather do a periodic table guessing game. There are so many other things that I would rather do. That would be so much fun.
No, it wouldn't.
That would be terrible. Really, really awful.
Okay.
All right, Tyler. Hit us.
Do it.
All right, so I would tell you today's
difficulty scale.
Today's difficulty scale on a 1 to 10, I would say, is about a 3.
But that almost makes it worse because then I feel like if I get it wrong, I don't know what I want. What?
Oh, I mean, it looks like Bryce, but we've already done him.
Can there be
definitely
repeats?
left-handed, right? We can
There
agree
are no
on
repeats.
left-handed batter.
Correct.
Woo!
Technically, you
Very
can see. I'm just
uppercut
kidding.
swing.
Yeah, wow. Okay, I think I know who it is.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. He said it's a 3, so I'm going to go with my gut because I'm also getting hungry. I'm getting hungry and I want some food.
Left-handed. I mean, it looks so much like Harper.
I am texting you my answer.
Yes.
If you listen closely, you'll hear the gurgles of my stomach.
David Bell. Tyler, I am texting you.
Bonus points for whoever texted first.
Well, my stupid messaging app isn't.
Sucks to suck.
Why do I feel like we're both going to
All right, Renee is locked in.
Should be.
Jamie is locked in. For the first time in quite some time, you both have the same answer.
I knew it.
Last
You
Friday.
both have the right answer.
Woo! Nah, I like this game.
It's kind of telling to me that Bryson Stott has a very similar looking swing to Bryce Harper, considering
I
their
know.
former roommates,
Vegas
training
connection.
He's
partners,
low-key,
Vegas.
Copy paste in some ways of Bryce. It's very like that does look exactly
Like show that
Bryce.
again. That looks a lot like Harper. Even like the way the plant leg is parallel to the ground, like the way like he dips a little bit, the uppercutness of it.
It's literally Bryce.
It's a less violent Bryce swing.
And what makes it weirder
Never
is
noticed that
the
before.
fact that his name is Bryce Son always throws me for a loop because it's like he's Bryce's son.
Oh boy.
I wasn't gonna laugh.
Do you want to close out with another
No.
elemental joke?
No, I was trying to think of some good ones, but I couldn't think of any that were golden. Isn't gold on the periodic table?
Yep, it's AU.
There it
Gold
is.
in
there it is.
Colorado, the
I
banquet
couldn't
beer.
think of any. Yeah, couldn't think of any others that were gold enough.
Gold in
to
Colorado
share.
just had the Golden Retriever Fest.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, I wanted to be there.
And last night I was
Beer and
watching the
Golden
Golden
Retrievers?
Girls.
Love the Golden Girls.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for being our friends. I should close out in this tune of the Golden Girls. It's been a pleasure, as always, having you guys join us here on PHLY Phillies podcast. This has been the longest show to date. Sadly, I did beat our high because we are now at an hour and 21 minutes, and I'm not going to take full blame, but I will take some of it. By 99% of it, I will take. I can see you looking at me. And we're going on and on. All right. Well, it's been fun. Mandy Bell, make sure you give her a follow.
Renee will be here all week. Don't forget to tip your waiters.
Maybe I'm a comedian. Mandy Bell 02, give her a follow on Twitter. Does a tremendous job with the Guardians. We'll also be back tomorrow live at 11 a.m. If I'm still here, who knows? I mean, maybe my jokes were so good, I'm gonna get picked up by a comedy
Lauren
show.
Michaels, I saw waiting outside.
You can book my tickets on the Game Time app, but this is not an ad. This is a closing. So for Tyler Zulli, Jamie Lynch, myself, Renee Washington, our special guest Mandy Bell, have a fantastic or a wonderful Wednesday, and we'll see you back for more tomorrow at 11 a.m.
We all silly like the mayor.